let's say before last night. Before last night, did you believe that there was life in other parts of the galaxy? What was your view on the JFK assassination? I don't know.
Man.
I don't know where you were prior to about, let's call it 4:30 on the West Coast. But today, you can throw any conspiracy theory my way, and I'm completely in. What did you make of? I was watching you guys. You guys were obviously doing your. I went back and watched your reaction, and while you guys were doing it, let's just say I think that one caught you off guard.
A little bit. When there's a 1.8% chance of winning the NBA draft lottery, mind you, the Mavericks have been in the draft lottery now 17 times, had never moved up at all in the NBA draft lottery. The franchise has been around for 45 years. So, I mean, it was a shock to us that they had actually even moved up at all, because that had never been done before. And then to go from 11 to 1, which according to ESPN's research, stats, and info, that is the largest jump ever for a team to go from not having the number one pick all the way up to number one. So jumping 10 spots there. Just a surreal half hour. And then I went back and watched, because the NBA put up the actual draft lottery itself. So watching the ping pong balls be dropped in and then being selected. And of course, somehow the Mavericks having the right combination to have the number one overall pick. Yeah.
Was there any glitches in that video that you were watching? Was there any, in today's world, they're pretty clean of editing things.
That's right. No, it was clean. It looked like it was quote unquote legit, if you're into that sort of thing. And the idea that, look, you open up with the idea with the conspiracy theories. Mavericks fans today are like, who gives a damn if it's rigged? It was rigged for us. Sure. After what this team's been through the last 3 months, to come out on the other side with a chance to draft Cooper Flagg, Mavericks fans are very happy in large respects because of what happened last night.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what is this? Just kind of what does this do for that fan base, and what does this do? Because what's kind of fascinating in all this. You obviously can't predict the future, and the trade is the trade, and the trade will still, just depending on what the Lakers end up doing and how Luka. I got some questions for you on Luka too. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on a couple of things. But as they sit here today, is it forgotten is not the right word, but is it, hey, we can now officially move on as well and start looking at a completely different chapter of Mavs basketball? And, oh, by the way, Cooper Flagg was – we've been talking about Cooper Flagg for 3 years. It's not like Cooper Flagg just, had one good season in college basketball. I've known about Cooper Flagg for a while, and I don't watch any high school and very little college basketball.
Yeah, I think for Mavericks fans, this doesn't necessarily absolve Nico Harrison for what has happened in the last 3 months. I mean, granted, the Mavericks were just in the NBA Finals about a year ago. To go from the NBA Finals to trading its franchise player, and then somehow the basketball guys rewarding this franchise with the number one overall pick. It's a drastic turn of events, obviously, but in a lot of ways, mostly self-inflicted. You just happen, if you're the franchise, to get extremely lucky to be able to have the number one overall pick after everything that they have done to kind of put themselves in a position where you didn't even think that was going to happen. So Mavericks fans are happy that they have a chance to potentially start over with this type of player, but also they remember, hey, we just had one of these guys just a few months ago. And we didn't necessarily have to be in this position if Nico Harrison didn't make the moves that he did. So I would say there's happiness, but also a lot of mixed feelings for Mavericks fans, given what has happened and transpired over the last few months.
What happens? What happens from here? Is there a world where, hypothetically, is there a world where the Dallas Mavericks decide that, man, teams are picking up the phone and they're calling us and they're asking, hey, is Cooper Flagg available? And do you see any world where the Dallas Mavericks don't actually draft Cooper Flagg and he doesn't become a Dallas Maverick? We know Nico Harrison had a window of trying to win an NBA championship. We know that obviously by trading away Luka Doncic, he was thinking much more the short term and not necessarily the long term. Well, Cooper Flagg's a long-term young player, as long-term as you can get. Do you see any scenario where Mavs aren't drafting Cooper Flagg?
That's going to be the $1 million question from now until June 25th, because if we're going to enter Nico Harrison's mind and the way that he's operated with this team, as you mentioned, with this win now window, he now has the most valuable piece, maybe arguably in the NBA outside of Giannis right now, because Cooper Flagg is that type of talent, and he would be cost control for the next 4 or 5 years. And then you put yourself in a position, if you're going to be a win now team, to go get one of those superstars to continue that win now mode. If you're Nico Harrison, does that matter to you? Because you may be out of this job in the next 2-3 years anyway. Or do you do right by the franchise, start over the gift that you've been given to start over with Cooper Flagg and build around him, and then be able to figure out how over the next 2 to 3 years you get to a championship with cost control players in that way. So the two timeline thing is, the two timeline thing in the NBA is a very difficult and fine line to walk that not many teams are necessarily able to do. And I don't know if the Mavericks are necessarily in the position to try that two timeline thing, because if it works, you've got AD alongside Cooper Flagg and Derek Lively and some really nice pieces on the front court there. If it doesn't, now you're in a really interesting situation, because the Mavericks don't control their picks from 2027 to 2030. So again, trying to play two timelines here is a very difficult proposition given where they are from an asset standpoint as well.
What would you like to see them do?
I say keep the pick. I mean, it's very hard. Like, right. I understand there's a world where folks will say you trade for the proven commodity, an NBA champion, an NBA MVP, and Giannis, who's only 30 years old, and try to continue to win now and move forward that way. But it's very, very hard to get a generational talent and be able to move forward in that way. And the Mavericks have been gifted that opportunity again. So you stay there and take the pick, and then you figure out the rest after that.
Yep. I feel great for the Mavs fans now. Would you trade the picks for the freak? I think I'm building around Cooper Flagg. I think that's what I'm doing. But it's tempting, because if you're the Mavs and you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, now you got a real window to go win a championship. But do you want a 31-year-old, or do you want – let me see how old Giannis is. I mean, he's 30. He'll be 31 in December. Cooper Flagg's 18. I'm taking Cooper Flagg. But listen, you can sit here and make an argument to me why you would make a trade for Giannis if you can, and making the West. Is Giannis going to be either with Anthony Davis or Victor Wembanyama? Jesus. Slee, I'm a big fan of AR. Would hate to see him traded, but could the Lakers trade AR for Gafford and Max? I think that'll be a win-win for both teams. I think you could get, believe it or not here, and I think Gafford's a good player. Obviously, Max Christie, a lot of Laker fans hated to see him go in that trade. I think you get more for Austin Reeves. I don't think Dallas and the Lakers are making a trade. I really don't think those two teams are making a trade. It's very tough to imagine that those two front offices can make another deal with each other for another 5 years. I think it's going to take a second. I genuinely do. I know people look at it and say, oh, who cares? Screw it, this, that. Guys, the Dallas Mavericks got crucified for 3 months and just got the biggest gift in the world to get Cooper Flagg. So I don't know if they can make another deal. I don't think another deal is happening between those two squads. Appreciate the two supers here, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Okay, there is let's see. Giannis is good. By the way, look, this is a good conversation. Giannis is good for the next 6 years, easy. No way I pass on Freak. Damn right you take Cooper Flagg. You'll take Cooper Flagg over Giannis, you're high. Again, listen, I could be convinced both ways, The only way I lean towards Giannis is because of the window that the Dallas Mavericks are in right now. They're trying to win right now. But guys, Cooper Flagg's 18 years old. That dude can be on your team and you're paying him nothing for the next 4 years. You could still go out there and try to make moves and, obviously put yourself in a position to compete. And here's the other part. If you don't go get Giannis, he might stay in the state of Texas and go to San Antonio. So I think there's a lot to be there. Cooper has not proved himself just yet. You're 100% right. He has not proved himself. He hasn't done any of that stuff. But every rookie that hasn't played a game in the league hasn't proved themselves. There's going to be guys that we're not talking about in 5 years that are going to be a part of this draft and are going to say to themselves, remember where that guy went number 8, that guy went number 12, this guy went number 16, and they're all stars. That happens every single year. Giannis can't shoot. Flagg more complete. I'm pro Giannis. It's gonna be kind of fascinating. This is a whole different wrinkle that we're gonna be watching over these next. And Giannis is a beast, no question about it. You can make an argument. You could sit here today and tell me Giannis is the best player in the world, and I might make an argument and say no, it's Nikola Jokic. But you're not going 3 people in the league without mentioning Giannis. Giannis is an absolute is an absolute stud. No question about it. Absolute stud. All right, let's see what the Dallas Mavericks end up doing. Let's see what San Antonio ends up doing as well. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.